everybody. We're here with Mike Wine. A lot of you fans out there know Mike Wine from all the days of monster trucks with Jersey Outlaw, but we're kind of going to get into some of his history. A lot of you don't know where he came from or how he even got involved. Now tell us a little bit about how you helped out Nick Rossi, which is a name nobody's heard in a lot of years either. But tell us a little bit how you got started in the monster truck world.
Always been into four-wheel drive trucks. Oh my God, all my life in mud bogs. If it had tires on it, it would have to have a big motor for me to go play. And yes, everybody's going to be confused about this because I pick on Ford versus Chevrolet, but my first four-wheel drive truck was a 78 Blazer with a 454. So a lot of guys still ride me on that. My passion's for Ford. But always over the road truck driver, always held wide loads, machinery, equipment, paving machinery. So in the winter, you're laid off.
Yeah.
So that's a great time because the monster trucks were starting to go out in the winter. So a buddy of mine called Bob. Bob's four-wheel drive and off-road shop in Mount Holly, New Jersey. Wow, that's bringing back some memories from 1982. And give me a call and he says, I got a guy you need to hook up with. He said he likes Fords. He said, but he's also got a Blazer with a set of 42s on it. And he says, you got to meet this little red-headed guy. So I went over and met Nick Rossi. And we hit it right off right away, talking about our Blazers first. Whose was better? Mine or his. Then he walked into Triangle Springs in Pensacola, New Jersey. Oh my God, here's this big white truck, big tires on it. And first, my question, same as everybody else. I said, oh my God, that's like Bigfoot. I mean, that was the #1 thing in the 80s.
Yeah.
You got a truck like Bigfoot's. So he goes, yep. He said, I'll tell you what I need. He says, I run the business, Triangle Springs. And he said, I can't get away with my dad's health and everything. I need somebody to take the truck out on the West Coast. He said, I'm hooked up with a promoter. And he said, you're going to meet the guys that run with Bigfoot and stuff. And he says, you're going to meet Art. What me? I thought Art was another guy. Ended up being Art Arfon.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was me. That's
Yeah.
I'm a fan now, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So I take the rig, take everything out west of Texas, and I got out there and I was supposed to call his wife. That's the old days. We didn't have much money. You got enough money to get to a show.
And none of these kids understand there was no cell phones either.
No.
I mean, sometimes you'd go a week without ever calling home, and people, I mean, you just knew you were, you know.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Everybody knew if they didn't hear from you, it was probably good news, because if something happened to you, the police would probably be calling.
That was the days of the rotary phone.
Yeah.
You'd circle it, an operator would come up. You say, I'd like to call collect Mike Wine to Dawn Rossi, Pensacola, New Jersey. Hold on a minute. And next thing you know, she would pick up and I'd hear her say, nope, I'm not accepting the charges. But we had that set up. Then Dawn would call me right back at the truck stop or wherever I was at. It's cheaper that way.
Oh, yeah. A lot
You got to
cheaper.
learn to save money. You know? So Dawn would call me back and she says, is the truck all together? I said, yeah. I said, where do I pick Nick up? I was going to borrow a pickup truck to go get him. Everybody. It's a family atmosphere.
Yeah.
Everybody would loan you the shirt off their back.
Yeah.
And she said, you're not coming to get Nick. Nick got hurt. You're driving this weekend.
Oh, boy.
No. Oh, you got to remember, he showed me how to put the tires on that truck in the shop. They were on it. We pulled them off. He showed me how to put the tires back on it. I got to tighten 5 lug nuts. That's it.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
here's a 20-year-old boy. You know, I'm still amazed because it's a big truck. I'm getting to play with a Bigfoot truck back then. Still call them Bigfoot trucks. So, finished up, got off the phone with her. I'm like, oh, well, I'm taking it apart. So, went back over, started taking it apart, and I'm still wiping and cleaning. Here comes a guy named Jim Kramer come over to me, and ended up being the best friends. Been friends 40 years now. But he come over and Bob Chandler introduced himself to me. I'm like, oh, this is a Bigfoot guy, and I wanted to see Bigfoot. I didn't care about that old Jersey Outlaw truck. So we got to talk, and he said, don't worry about it. You know, you're going to race tonight. I said, I got blue jeans and sneakers and old dirty t-shirt. Oh, don't worry about that. Jim Kramer. I mean, this is an honor. Not to me back then.
Yeah.
Nobody knew it, but Jim Kramer was the man.
Yeah.
He loaned me his helmet. I got to wear a Bigfoot helmet for my very first show. So I got up in the truck. They showed me the transfer case. A lot of guys, some of the older guys will remember this. You used to have to build air pressure. We had a little 12-volt air compressor pump.
Yeah, yeah.
You
The
had to
old
build
military
air pressure.
transfer case. Yep.
Yep, 5-ton.
Yeah.
We'd have to
big.
build air to get it to click into 4-wheel drive. Otherwise, you drove around 2-wheel drive. Didn't steer too good. So I built air pressure. Jim said, you back up, keep backing up, and I'll tell you when to stop. He said, that way you're the first one to hit them cars. Fresh cars. He said, you probably won't even get the front end up off the ground. He said, that's great. I backed all the way up where Jim told me. Jim opened the door. Now you got to think, we still had bench seats back then. Windshield, stereo. I had a radio still playing. Sliding back glass window in it. Oh yeah, I learned the hard way. Better tell this one. Never armorella a seat. A leather seat in a pickup truck before you're going to go out and hit a car.
Yeah.
So you learn the hard way on old stuff. This was a show truck.
Yeah.
Gold leaf lettering, the triple 3-inch tube roll cage. They were a thing in the 80s.
That was big.
Chrome push bar, tilt bed, hydraulic tilt bed. It was beautiful. Felt like its driver.
Yeah.
In the 20s, you're not going to believe this, but I was cute. So I backed up as far as I could. Jim Kramer, boom, put his arm down. I held it to the floor. Stock 460, tunnel ram on it. Had 2 Predator carburetors on it. Only one worked.
Yeah.
Just you could change the cams on them. Had one on it, maybe a 600 CFM. That was it. Nothing you wouldn't run on the street.
Mm-hmm.
It was bull, just hit second gear. I hit a 1972 Lincoln Continental.
With
No dirt.
No dirt ramps.
No dirt ramps, right in the side of the pillar post. A 72 Lincoln Continental does not bend too easy. I hit it, it stopped, I panicked, held it to the floor. It stood straight up and down after, when I first hit the car, yeah, I better bring this up. How do they say that sometimes, young and dumb?
Yeah.
I had a perfect bruise all the way around where I was holding the steering wheel with one hand, came forward, hit the steering wheel, knocked the wind out of me. Is the only reason I held it to the floor. I might as well tell my secrets. I got lucky.
Yeah.
It stood straight up on the back bumper and sat there. I put my arm on the roof and started yelling like a baby. I finally cut the truck off after it's filled the arena with smoke. And everybody comes over and they're all laughing and happy as can be. I was scared to death. I sat in the truck. I was shaking so bad. I don't even remember to this day what they pulled me back down with. Anything. But they pulled me back down. And you're supposed to start it back up. And everybody's like, oh, just keep going. Mike Wine was scared to death. Anybody that says they wouldn't be scared in that situation,
Oh yeah.
I've never met a man like that before. I started it. I backed back off. I backed up in the corner, and I sat in that truck,
Oh,
shaking
yeah.
so bad until they come over and opened the door and told me it was okay to get out.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
my first experience
Yeah.
back then with a monster truck, and then it kept escalating from there.
So where did it go after that? That was the first night at that event?
That was the first night at that event, first time ever in a monster truck, first time putting tires on, first time learning the experience and grabbing a steering wheel. I don't know if most people think a steering wheel, oh, I'm going to hold that when I get into a car wreck. No. Once you stiffen your arms up, you will bend the steering wheel and
Yeah.
wrap it right around.
Yeah.
So that back then days though, now we're running orbital valves. Everything's, the technology has changed so much.
Oh
But back
yeah.
then,
Phenomenal.
we would go through power steering pumps left and right. It'd throw the belts off if it wasn't
Oh,
lined in
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We started out with power steering belts and power steering pumps. We'd weld them to the frame.
Oh yeah.
And then the motor would sit there. We didn't know. We run regular motor mounts. Well, after a while, the motor mount would break. You'd throw the belt off.
Yeah.
And you're trying to turn 5-ton
Yeah. They just
planetary front ends.
no turning without hydraulics.
No. The only man I could ever see doing that was probably Lurch.
Yeah.
If everybody remembers Lurch,
Yeah.
he'd be about the only man I know where he would shear off the steering wheel, try to turn one.
Yeah.
So then we just kept experimenting with stuff. And everybody would pick on me and Nick Rossi because we didn't have the money. You know, back then, you pinched money, robbed Peter to pay Paul.
Mhm.
So I know you've had to do this before.
Oh, yeah.
3-4 of us got together. And that's when I ended up meeting another young man named Gary Wiggins, Mopar Magic,
Oh, yeah.
famous Mopar Magic.
Yeah.
Gary with his smile and sit there, and Bennett Clark. Clydesdale. He'd take that little toothpick out. He said, Mike Wine. He said, I'm 98 pounds, mean machine. He was a bull rider. No, 98-pound man that stood 5'1" was a bull rider and a champion. Met him. Met Marvin Smith. Oh my God, with Stomper. Unbelievable guys. And of course, Dennis Anderson. Greatest guy. Me and Dennis have argued. Now, a lot of people don't know this. I still get picked on Ford versus Chevrolet. I'm always going to preach Ford. That's it. I'm 57 years old. Always going to say Ford. Dennis started out in a Ford.
Yep.
Then he went to Chevrolet. Okay, he went to the evil side. But on the camera, we would argue. We would pick on each other. There was even one time. Oh my God, can I bring this up? There was even one time now. This is great. You'll appreciate this humor. There's one time, Dennis was pretty good on his interviews. Yep. He got out there with Army Armstrong. Now, Army was an instigator. Don't anybody let you think Army wasn't an instigator.
Yeah, he loved to get...
Before we went out to race, Army goes, hey, Mike, he said, I bought you a hot dog. You think you can aggravate Dennis? I said, sure. I said, I'll do it for a hot dog and a pop. So, oh my God, here it goes. Louisville, Kentucky, Freedom Hall, indoor show. Dennis went out to do his interview. One run, Dennis. Yeah. Dennis went out to do his interview. So Gary Wiggins goes, go on, get your hot dog. Go on, get your hot dog. Here we go. I went out there, got up there, and Dennis is doing his interview so nice. I walked up beside him. I even had my True Value ball cap on that Ever Jasmer gave me. Got out there, and Dennis is about this and this and this and that, and he just talking about Chevrolets and everything so bad. Go ahead and get that phone call if you need to.
No,
we might have hit the lottery. We'll buy us another monster truck. So we're standing there. Dennis started picking on me on TV. That's wrong. I got an answer for everything. And everything I do, it's going to be picking on somebody. I said, you know what? I said, there's going to be a Ford and a Chevrolet in the finals. And I said, the Ford's going to outcome on this one. And I said, if you don't believe me, and Dennis said, started to interrupt me. I said, you know what? Instead of him running his mouth, why don't he run his truck when we get out there? It'd take 10 Chevrolets to ever touch one Ford. Well, I turned around and walked away. I got back there and I said, Wiggins, what do you think? Am I going to get a hot dog? They're all standing there looking, and Gary Porter. Yeah. Everybody remembers Gary Porter, Carolina Crusher. Gary Porter said, man, you really made him mad. I said, no, Army set it up. Army said, just go out there and say something. He goes, here he comes. Here come Dennis come back and put me in a headlock. And I said, wasn't that cool, Dennis? I was picking on you out there. He was actually mad at me. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. So they separated us. I thought, oh, well, I'll go with this. He's just pretending still. We got out to line up on the line. We both took off. Well, I got a stock 460 motor, barely 300 horsepower. Yeah. Got out. Dennis was still mad. He wasn't playing the part. He was actually pissed. So I went over to cars and I'm pop over to cars. Dennis launched it, landed, bounced, throttled it. It stood. That was the infant. That was the most famous ride there was.
I remember that.
It stood straight up on its tail end. I'm thinking it's cool. I'm sitting there steering. I looked and I was like, wow, that is awesome. I'm thinking, hey, this is pretty cool. And I went down the other end, just idling over the cars, and I stopped. And he landed and bounced and got out of it. Here comes Army Armstrong giving me thumbs up that I won. And I got out of the truck. And right away, here goes my mouth again. You can tell I'm bashful. Here's my mouth again. I said, I told you it'd take 10 Chevrolets to ever touch one Ford. Oh, then that started the war between fans and everything. I would go to shows. Yeah. I would get people that hated me because I beat Dennis Anderson.
I remember those days, and people were very passionate about who, either a Ford or a Chevy.
Yes, sir. I mean, 100%. Yeah. We ran a Ford motor. You know, nowadays there's Ford, there's Chevys, there's Dodges, but they're all running. A lot of them are running Richard Midget motors. Very famous motor builder. But they're still 540 cubic inches, all Chevrolet.
And back then, I mean, really, you kind of hit it, and Dennis didn't realize it, but that was showmanship. You were playing that whole deal, and Dennis didn't realize it till later, and then he started talking smack.
Oh, yeah, then
but at first, he was probably pretty offended.
Yeah, he came back and put me in a headlock.
Because everybody was kind of like a family in those days. You helped each other.
Who faces the grave digger in the quarterfinals. Well, the final race of the year is not going to cut slack for anybody. Standing with me right now, the lone hope for the Ford camps, Mike Wine. You say you're going to hammer all these Chevrolets on the final race with a Ford. I don't know if they're believing that or not. Yeah, waited all of them to beat their trucks last night. Gravedigger beat his first and tore it up, so I think he was afraid to run me in the first round last night. Wait a minute here. Dennis Anderson with the Gravedigger. Go ahead.
Hold on a minute. No way. The Ford's not going to dominate tonight. It's going to be a Chevrolet, and it's going to be the Gravedigger.
Takes 10 Chevrolets to even touch one Ford. He'll have his chance. We'll be coming up next round. Instead of running his mouth, let him run his truck.